Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Talkin Bout Football Podcast. This podcast is sponsored by the NFLwire.net. I'm JT, alongside next to me is Chris.
How you all doing today?
And today we're going to get you caught up with everything going on around the NFL. Here's Chris with the results of last week's picks.
So with the Week 3 prediction results, we have me going 10-15 and JT going 7-15. What I got wrong was the Colts beat the Falcons, the Eagles lost to the Lions, the Giants beat the Bucks, the Panthers beat the Cardinals, and the Saints beat the Seahawks. And JT got wrong. Bills beating the Bengals, the Lions beating the Eagles, the Colts beating the Falcons, the Packers beating the Broncos, the Giants beating the Bucks, the Saints beating the Seahawks, the Texans beating the Chargers, and the 49ers beating the Steelers. So it was a lot to take in. But he went 7-15, I went 10-15. So I'm 1-0 on the season, and you're 0-1 on the season.
I'm 0-1. Not the best week for me. It was a lot of surprises for me. A lot. So we're going to see if I can do better this week. Chris gets off to a 1-0 start.
Yes, I do.
Starting off strong. I got to try to bounce back this week, and we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen. So let's just dive right into our Week 4 picks. Our first game, we got the Chiefs at the Lions. I got the Chiefs beating the Lions 27-20, Chris. I think the Chiefs will be 4-0. This is Pat Mahomes' first game inside stadium. So I
believe since Texas Tech by his college days.
So I think that'll be a factor. I want to see how he plays, Yes, the same football field turf, but it's inside. So we're going to see how that affects Pat Mahomes. Matt Patricia needs to have a good defensive game plan. The Lions' pass defense is ranked 7th in the league, and I do think Stafford has a good game. He always plays well at home.
Yeah.
He plays well at home. I think the Chiefs team is too good for the Lions, though. I think the Lions have a solid team, but I don't think it's good enough to beat the Chiefs.
This is one of the only games this weekend that two undefeated teams are playing each other. The Lions are 2-0-1, so they tied with the Cardinals. They haven't lost technically, but they will lose their first game this weekend, and it's going to be Chiefs 31, Lions 27. I think it's going to be a lot closer game than people are expecting. I think McCole Harmon and Demarcus Robertson are going to have monster games with Damian Williams out for this game. LaShawn McCoy is going to have to take the bulk of the carries. And Matthew Stafford actually came up on the injury report this week.
Yes, he did.
On Friday with a hip injury, so I don't know what's going to be the deal with him. I feel like with him coming up on the injury report, they're probably going to have to run the ball with Kerryon Johnson, and they're going to be passing the ball a lot to T.J. Hawkinson and Kenny Golladay this week.
And I do agree with you about the run game on that. That's going to be very important for the Lions this week. Very important.
Yeah, it's going to come down to the run game. If they're going to do a lot of short and fast passes, a lot of screens, a lot of passes like slants and outs and ins, maybe a little post once in a while. But Golladay is going to have a monster game, and T.J. Hawkinson is going to be running just seams right up the field, some fast seams to, get the safety to bite on top of him.
T.J. Hawkinson is going to be a big guy to look at in this game.
And, beautiful. And then Kenny Golladay is going to be running the slant across the middle. So I think it's going to be a lot of misdirection patterns. And then that's when you run the RPO with
exactly
Kenny Golladay, Kerryon Johnson on the backfield. So it's going to be very – I think it's going to be a fun game.
I think it's going to be a fun game. It's going to be an interesting game. We both have the Chiefs winning this one, and we'll see what happens Sunday.
It's going to be very interesting.
So our next game, we have the Browns at the Ravens. I have the Ravens beating the Browns by 1 point, 21-20. I think a game-winning field goal is going to end it, in my opinion. Lamar Jackson, he's going to battle back after that hard-fought loss last week in Kansas City. That was a good game. I think the Chiefs definitely got the best of them. However, on the other end, Baker Mayfield played I mean, he played all right against the Rams. I mean, the Ravens have an older style rushing attack, and it's very effective. You know, Mark Ingram had a good game last week. Lamar Jackson uses a lot of read options, so the Browns have to be ready. The Browns' pass protection isn't very good. They're tied for 25th in the league, Chris. Odell needs to come up big again, but I just think the Ravens are going to slip by the Browns.
If you guys can see my facial reaction listening to this, the Browns are terrible. The Browns are awful. Freddie Kitchens is a terrible coach. This is going to be absolutely a landslide.
So you think so? I think it's going to be a close game.
See, I put 31-17. I think the Browns will score less than 17 points. This is going to be absolutely of a terrible game. The Ravens are going to run all over them. It's going to, the Greedy Williams and Denzel Ward are both questionable for this game. Lamar Jackson's going to run that read option. The Baltimore defense has been playing all right, but then you still got playmakers on that defense. You got Hollywood Brown on the outside.
Right.
And Freddie Kitchens is your head coach. So, again, you're not going to do anything with Freddie Kitchens as a head coach. Baker Mayfield has not been playing good. Nick Chubb is a very good player. If Nick Chubb gets going, then I can see the offensive getting a little better. But if Nick Chubb gets stopped like he did last week, then the offense is going to do absolutely nothing.
Right, but I do like Nick Chubb and Mayfield in this game. I like Baker Mayfield in this game, but I think the Ravens are just a flat out better team.
100%. I couldn't agree with you more.
So the next game we have the Patriots at the Bills. I have the Patriots winning 24-17. Tom Brady's not going to slow down at all, Chris. I think we can both agree on that. The run game played great last week with Michelle. Scattered the ball all around to guys like Edelman. The Pats' defensive line is just playing outstanding. Their whole defense is playing
I think it's
amazing. 4
straight games without giving up a touchdown, and that's including the Super Bowl.
It's insane. They're just such a good team. But on the other side, Josh Allen and the Bills are undefeated, but I don't think after this week. Josh Allen does have an 83.4 rating, but I just don't think he can get down the field enough against the Patriots defense. I think that Patriots defense is going to just put a roadblock on the Bills. The Patriots are going to remain undefeated.
And I couldn't agree with you more. I think this is going to be a lot of closer game than people expect because Bills play a really good defense.
They do. The Bills, I'll give them that. I like the Bills. The Bills defense, pretty
very
good.
Underrated. Very underrated.
They are very underrated.
But you're versing Tom Brady. You're versing Julian Edelman.
Yes.
The best 1-2 combo in the NFL, in my personal opinion.
Couldn't agree with you more on that one.
And Rex Burkhead has 222 total combined yards the last 3 games. That's more than Sonny Michel and James White.
Yes.
And Rex Burkhead is the 3rd running back in that group. Sonny Michel being number 1, James White being number 2, and Rex Burkhead being number 3. And he has the most combined in total yards. I think it's going to be an absolutely of a big game for the running backs. Again, I feel like because their secondary is great.
They are.
The Bills' secondary is great.
The Bills' secondary is very good. Talented secondary.
So I think if the Patriots really want to win this game, they're going to have to run the ball. And I think they do just that. And the Patriots will win 21-17 against the Bills.
Sounds good, Chris. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Next game, the Chargers at the Dolphins. So I have the Chargers winning 27-13. Chargers kind of they're coming off a back-to-back rough games. I think this is a good game for Rivers to get back on track. I don't think Rivers has been playing like everyone has expected him to. The Dolphins have yet to win a game. I think we're going to be saying that in the podcast for at least a few more weeks, that they haven't won a game yet. Only scored 6 points last week with quarterback Josh Rosen. Albert Wilson and Devontae Parker couldn't get open, so I think the Dolphins will continue the season without a win. I think they're not.
See, JT gave you a whole nice breakdown. I'm just going to be honest. And what I put in my notes, I said, Josh Rosen, please don't die. He's going to be running for his life out there.
No,
the
he
offensive
is.
line is terrible. But I have a bet with you.
A bet. Go ahead with the bet. Let's hear it.
Keenan Allen will get over 150 receiving yards.
Oh.
Last week he had 183, I believe.
Okay.
He'll repeat that and get 150 receiving yards.
We'll see. I can understand that. I think so. I mean,
The Dolphins gave up.
They did. The Dolphins, like I said last week, going into last week, they were outscored by 92 points. Gonna be a huge game.
The Dolphins have
for the Chargers.
The Dolphins gave up 499 yards in the last 3 games.
Unbelievable.
And the Chargers are one of the most highest, not scoring, but total yards with 407 total yards.
Yes.
So imagine with a really good offense that can produce a lot of yards and the worst defense in the league that has given up one less yard than 500 yards. I have the Chargers winning 42-3, and the Dolphins are going to get a last-minute field goal because they don't want to get shut out.
Yeah, I think the Chargers. I think this is a confidence boost for the Chargers too. Yes, it's the Dolphins, but win a football game and get your confidence back.
I 100% agree.
So, Chris, what do we have next?
We have the Redskins at Giants, and I have the Giants beating the Redskins 28-17.
I have the Giants beating the Redskins 17-14.
That Redskins offense is god awful. Like you saw in the Bears game, I understand that Bears defense is great.
They are.
But jeez, that offense is terrible.
They played awful last week.
And again, I'm a Giants fan. And that Giants defense, also put in my notes, is god-awful.
Yes.
It's going to be a really competitive
Janoris
game.
Jenkins? Come on, man.
It's going to be a combination of a really bad offense and a really bad defense. It's going to be competitive.
Right, and that's why I think it's going to be a good game. As silly as it sounds, I think it's going to be a good game. Listen, the Giants defense played horrible against the Bucs. Janoris Jenkins blew a lot of coverages, and the secondary gave up a lot of points. But I did love the way Daniel Jones played, Chris. You know, he comes out at his first game, puts up 32 points. Outstanding. I think the Giants have something with Danny Dimes. I do. On the other side, Case Keenum still gets the start.
I can't believe this guy is even starting.
I don't understand. I'll bring that up later in the podcast about Case Keenum, that situation with the Redskins. Just a mess over in Washington. And I do think I like Adrian Peterson in the offense backfield, and I like Jordan Reed gets open. But
Jordan Reed actually is ruled out this week.
Oh, is Jordan Reed ruled
Yes.
out? Okay. So Jordan Reed, you can forget about that then. But I do like Adrian Peterson.
But I think the best back for these two teams, I think the game changer would be Wayne Gallman.
You think so?
Because with Saquon being out,
I could see that.
With Saquon being out, you're not going to have to put 8 people in the box anymore. And Daniel Jones is not used to that. He was expecting 8 people in the box with Saquon run the ball. But now teams can run their cover 3, cover 2 schemes now. They don't have to worry about the man-to-man.
Right.
So, on that, I think that's where Daniel Jones is going to get a little... Daniel Jones will throw his first interception tomorrow.
We'll see.
And I'm very concerned I'm very concerned because if Wayne Gallman can get the ball and get good yards and, get 4 to 5 yards per carry, then it's going to make teams start playing their 7 in the box and 8 in the box again against the Giants. But if Wayne Gallman goes out there and gets 15 carries for 20 yards, no one's going to care to play 8 people in the box. So that's why I think Wayne Gallman is the game changer for this game.
Okay. Yeah, I can definitely see that, and that's a good point, Chris. I'm glad you brought that up.
And now we have the Titans at Falcons. And I have the Falcons beating the Titans 24-21. But this is going to be a very close game all game. And it all comes down, in my personal opinion, it's the running back this week.
Is it?
Versus Derrick Henry Derrick Henry versus Devontae Freeman, but I think Mr. Freeman has to be the guy because he has not ran the ball good all year. And if he gets going early, it's going to make the play action game open up. And it's going to make that Titans defense work. And Marcus Mariota will have a good game if he can stay on offense.
He has to. Okay. And the Mercedes-Benz Dome, it's their new stadium. It's a hard place to play for anybody. It's a really hard place to play. I have the Falcons beating the Titans 28-13. Mariota, like you said, needs to come out throwing the ball downfield. Delaney Walker's a guy he's going to need to target.
And A.J. Brown, in my personal opinion.
And A.J. Brown, yes. Also needs to get the run game going, like you said. But I said this last week, and I'm going to keep saying it, because Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, one of the best combos in the league. I think they're going to do a lot of damage against that Titans defense. You know, I think in my opinion, this is what I think, Chris. I think if the Titans don't score first, get the momentum. I think if the Falcons go ahead scoring first, it'll be a rough day for Tennessee, and I think the Falcons are going to win 28-13.
And Tennessee needs to play their defense. They have playmakers on the secondary that they can go out there and play their defense. I think the Titans will give Falcons a little bit of run for their money and make, Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones, Mohamed Sanu work a little bit. But if Devontae Freeman comes out running the ball like we've seen in previous years, it's going to make the Titans work a little bit harder. But what we've seen this year, he has not been running the ball at all very good.
Right. And Mariota does need to put up points, but they also need help from that defense.
Yes, they do. And the next game we have is Raiders at Colts.
And I got the Colts beating the Raiders 20-10. Okay, listen to this. Last week, the Raiders, terrible game plan. I'm sorry. I don't really understand John Gruden's playbook. Remember, he's always had a ton of plays. Going back to the Tampa days. But now, Derek Carr, in my opinion, he just looks confused out there. Especially last week.
And that's the same thing I put in my notes. Derek Carr looks frustrated and confused.
He does, because John Gruden is swarming his brain with everything. I think the Raiders do need to be more simple. Carr needs to look for Hunter Renfrow and J.J. Nelson. I think...
and if Josh Jacobs can run the ball...
Yep.
I think it really would help out. And the Colts missing Darius Leonard this week.
That's huge for the Colts. But I do think Jacoby Brissett and the Colts' high-flying offense with T.Y. Hilton and other weapons gets the job done. And I think they beat the Raiders 20-10.
And T.Y. Hilton is questionable.
He's questionable.
It's questionable or doubtful.
I can't remember. But if he's not playing, that's huge. But hopefully he can be in that lineup. We'll have to see.
And that means Marlon Mack got to come up.
Yes.
Hines got to come out. And the rookie receiver, Paris Campbell, will have a monster game if T.Y. Hilton does not play.
Yes, I do like Campbell. I really like him. He got a lot of talent. Rookie. So I do like him in this game.
I 100% agree with you.
Next game, we got the Panthers at the Texans. I got the Texans beating the Panthers 24-16. Kyle Allen played great for the Panthers against the Cardinals last week. 38 points the Panthers scored. McCaffrey and Olsen, I think they'll have another good game. McCaffrey, I really like Christian McCaffrey, Chris. I think he's a great player.
How can you not like Christian McCaffrey?
The guy's a beast. Olsen, a lot in the air, targeting Olsen. A lot of balls to that tight end. A lot of good play action and read option plays from Carolina. The defense played good enough with Kuechly to win last week, but I don't think they can do it against the Texans team, which I really like. They're coming off a win, and Deshaun Watson and D-Hop have played great, including last week. I like their defense as well. We've seen they're capable of holding good teams. For example, the Saints. They did lose that game in week 1. Held the Saints, though. and gave that offense a chance. I like the Texans in this game 24-16, Chris.
I have Texans beating the Panthers 27-21. Kyle Allen played great last week, but now teams have tape on him. They know what he's going to do. He's going to run the RPO. He's going to want to run the play action.
Great point.
And he wants to bring the defense in so he can throw the ball on top of them. And that's something that the Cardinals could not stop last week. But Texans being a better defense with Whitney Merciless running the middle of the field with Zach Cunningham, I feel like they're going to be ball hogs and they're going to know exactly what to do in those situations. Again, playmaker this week is going to have to be Christian McCaffrey. If he gets the ball in his hands, he got to make plays.
He does. He has to make plays. It's crucial for the Panthers.
And the Panthers want to be successful in defense. They're going to have to stop Christian McCaffrey. If the Panthers want to be successful in defense, they have to keep Deshaun Watson in the pocket.
They do. They cannot let Deshaun Watson scramble,
even throw on the run. He's very accurate throwing on the run. So if you can minimize that and make him stay in the pocket and make him throw in that 2 to 3 seconds while bringing him in the pocket, you will be very successful on defense. And I think the Panthers won't do that, but Luke Kuechly is going to have a great game. He's leading the NFL with 36 tackles in the last 3 games. So if he's going to do his thing out there. But the Texans will come out on top on this one.
Sounds good. We'll see what happens. Next game, we got the Buccaneers at the Rams. I think the Rams are going to win 31-17. Last week, the Bucs offense played great against the Giants in the first half. Apparently, they thought there was only one half in a football game because only put up 6 points in the second half, which is very concerning. Winston threw for about 400 yards, though. He and Mike Evans were hooking up all day long.
Oh, it was
all
crazy.
Day long. If the Bucs want to have a chance, they'll have to get a good game from Jameis, Winston, Mike Evans. But with Godwin ruled out, that's huge.
Questionable. He's questionable. My fault.
Questionable. Let's hope he plays. But if he doesn't play, that's going to be a huge loss. We need to look for Cameron Brate down in the red zone. Bucs defense, though, blew the game in the second half last week, especially Vernon Hargreaves and Jordan Whitehead in the secondary. Yes, the offense didn't give him enough points, but you got to hold teams like that in the second half. I mean, you got to play complete 60 minutes of football. I just don't think the defense can play well enough to beat Jared Goff. Todd Gurley running the ball, Brandon Cooks be looking out for a big game to burn. Especially if he's up against Vernon Hargreaves, I think it'll be a long day for the Tampa defense tomorrow.
And I have Rams winning 31-21 against the Bucs. The Bucs defense in the second half did not look very good. I think Brandon Cooks is gonna have a big game, and Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods just all have a big game. And it's so hard because the Bucs have such a good D-line, but their defense secondary is mediocre.
It is. The front, I like the front.
Shaq Barrett has 8 sacks in 3 games.
Shaq Barrett is
he's gonna put pressure on Jared Goff. So it's like if you can have more pressure than just Shaq Barrett and give Jameis Winston the ball, then the game can be interesting. And the run game with Peyton Barber and Ronald Jones is going to be very important, just like I say every week with the Bucs.
Yes.
Because the Bucs are really one-dimensional for the last couple of years. So if you can run the ball better, you're going to make teams, and that's when the play action opens up big time.
They are. And the Bucs, they're just a team that makes you wonder, what's going to happen this
what
week.
could be.
What could be. What could it be? What will it be? We will see tomorrow. Chris, what's our next game?
We have the Seahawks at Cardinals, and I do low-key like this game a lot. The way that
Me too. I like it.
And the way that Seahawks played last week against the Saints I can't believe the Seahawks actually lost that game.
I can't believe that either.
And then the way that Cardinals playing better.
Not great, but better.
Better with Kyler Murray. They're playing better. I feel like this game could be a lot better than people are talking about. And I have the Seahawks winning 24-17. That defense did not show up against the Saints last week.
It did not. It didn't show up at all.
And I think they're going to have a bounce-back week. The Cardinals, need to get the ball back. They can't be sitting on defense all day long. And you saw what happened against the Panthers last week.
I did.
Kyle Allen threw for over 400 yards.
He did. And I have the Seahawks winning 30-21. The Saints last week did beat the Seahawks with a backup quarterback. That has to be in the mind of Seattle. It has to be. Look for Pete Carroll to come out firing with Russell Wilson down to Tyler Lockett. I like Tyler Lockett a lot. He's got to establish a good run game. Arizona defense, mediocre. You know what I mean? I really like Russell Wilson looking to bounce back, take advantage of Arizona. Is a road game, so they won't have the crowd behind them. Kyler Murray is sketchy for me. He's playing better. He has talent. I like Larry Fitzgerald too. We have to look for him to have a good game.
And one thing that's been killing the Seahawks lately is Chris Carson.
Yes.
He fumbled
big time
twice last week and won in week 2.
And
I have a bet with you.
Okay, go ahead.
Chris Carson will fumble the ball this week and will be 3 times. He will have a fumble 3 weeks in a row.
3 weeks in a row. We'll see. I like that bet. You got to take care of the football.
And
you have to take care of the football.
You have one job, and that's to run.
It's one job. You got to take care of the football. Next, we have the Vikings at the Bears. The Vikings, in my opinion, are going to win 24-20. I think Kirk Cousins comes out of the gate in Chicago targeting Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen in the air. Stephon Diggs is huge for me. I think he's going to have a really good game. Thielen as well on the other side. I think Dalvin Cook,
Dalvin Cook's a monster.
He's a monster. I think he's going to be great on the ground, man. They're going to really need him on the ground. Mitchell Trubisky, still continues to not live up to the expectations the Bears had for him. Don't think he's that good of a quarterback. The Bears need a good game from David Montgomery on the ground because I don't think what Trubisky is going to give Chicago in the air will be good enough to beat the Vikings. We'll see what happens. I have the Vikings winning 24-20, Chris.
And I have the Vikings beating the Bears 28-17. The Vikings' run game is so damn good, man.
It's amazing.
And excuse my language, but they're just so good at running the ball. And you saw last week they had a play-action pass. Adam Thielen was wide open for a touchdown. And I feel like Stephon Diggs is a better route runner. Stephon Diggs is a key man in this offense.
He is.
And they're not using him to what he could be. And I think that's what's killing him. Against this Bears defense, they're going to have to use Stephon Diggs if they want to win. But then think about the Bears offense. 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, pick, 3 and out, 3 and out. The Bears offense is absolutely trash.
It's
Mitchell
bad.
Trubisky is awful. David Montgomery he's a rookie. He already needs to get traded somewhere else because he's a fantastic running back. He needs to go. The offense is terrible. And the Vikings are just going to run the ball the entire time, and Dalvin Cook's going to have almost over 150 yards rushing this ball this week.
They are, and the Bears need their defense to step up if they want any chance.
And the next game we are going to be talking about is the Jaguars at Broncos, and I have the Jags 24, Broncos 21. All I have to say is the Jags have the legend Gardner Minshew on their side.
Gardner Minshew, baby,
on their side. So how can you ever go against him? But nah, for real. Von Miller, Bradley Chubb, 3 games, 0 sacks.
0 sacks.
No,
they
no
haven't
pressure.
been playing well. And
No pressure.
Last week I did go for the Broncos to go for the upset against the Packers. But my point is, I'm not giving them another chance this week. I think the Jags will win 14-13. I think it'll be a close game, low-scoring game. The Jags have to work with what they got. They got some weapons. Leonard Fournette needs to have a good game running the rock, pounding the rock. DJ Chark, good weapon downfield for Minshew, big target. The way the Broncos defense have been playing, like you just said, I think Minshew will have quite a few passing yards. On the other side, Joe Flacco played all right against the Packers, nothing special. Needs to be tossing down the field to Emmanuel Sanders.
Again, it's Joe Flacco. We don't expect much. We expect almost around 200 passing yards every week. We never expect him to really go off.
No, we don't really expect him to go off. But Chris, I do believe in the field goal in this game. I like the leg in this game. Von Miller's always a threat on defense, but he hasn't been playing like it. I think the Jags will pull this one off.
And now we are on to the Monday night game, which this is probably one of the best
Sunday
games.
night.
Yeah,
Sunday night.
Sunday night game. Cowboys at Saints.
Yes, sir.
Who you got this week for Cowboys at Saints?
I got the Cowboys winning 35-30. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I'm looking for an offensive affair here. This should be fun to watch. Everyone, please tune in Sunday night to that game. That's going to be fun to watch. Everyone will enjoy that. Dak Prescott and Teddy Bridgewater, they played great last week. We can both agree on that. Dallas scored 31 points and the Saints scored 33. Bridgewater's a great backup for Sean Payton and Drew Brees. Two main players on offense that I'm going to watch is Alvin Kamara. Guy's an absolute beast. And Michael Thomas. I really like Michael Thomas downfield. With Teddy Bridgewater, it doesn't matter who's throwing to him. He's going to make plays. Kamara always plays great with Thomas and always gets open. On the other side, though, I think Dak will go to Zeke on the ground a lot. Randall Cobb and guys like that in the air. On the defensive side of the ball, I really like Van Der Esch. I like Van Der Esch a lot, that linebacker position. I think the Cowboys remain undefeated, Chris.
And I have the Cowboys 35, Saints 28.
Okay, so pretty similar score.
It's all coming from the Cowboys defense getting pressure on the Teddy Bridgewater. It's the second game, and God knows how long he's actually going to start.
Yeah.
Since, I believe, the Viking days.
Yep.
So, again, he's still learning. He's not learning. He's getting back. He's knocking the rust off.
He is.
And I think that defense is going to make him force mistakes, and that's where interceptions and fumbles come in. I feel like he's going to have some turnovers. The Cowboys, though, will not play very good on offense. The defense will win in the game, even though I have them scoring 35 points.
Yeah.
I still think that defense will win him the game. It all comes down to the Saints playmakers, and you name both of them, Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara, got to come out and play.
It does.
If Alvin Kamara can come out and run the ball effectively in the first
half. And he will.
And, it all comes down that Cowboys defense is baller. It comes down to Alvin Kamara running the ball, doing his thing, and open up the passing game. And that's all it comes down to. If Alvin Kamara can open the passing game for Teddy Bridgewater,
right? And
I think it'll be a really good game. And that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting Alvin Kamara to go out there and run the ball. That's going to open Teddy Bridgewater up, and it's going to be a very close game. It's going to be a very enjoyable game to watch.
Yes, it will. And Chris, you never know. This could be a playoff matchup in the NFC. We'll see.
Yes, it can. And especially when Drew Brees comes back. If Teddy Bridgewater
can hold his ground, get some wins for the Saints team, they'll be in great shape.
Yeah, and one thing I was going to say is, what happens if Teddy Bridgewater starts playing really good? Imagine he starts playing really good.
I get that. But remember who you got coming back, Chris.
But
I get where you're coming from, though.
Are you going to start the hot hands?
We'll see when it gets there. We'll think about that when it gets there.
And the Monday night football game is the best this week. It's the Bengals at Steelers.
Listen, I have the Bengals winning 25-10, Chris. Cincinnati and Pittsburgh are both coming off of losses last week. Each team is looking to bounce back. Don't think Mason Rudolph in this game. I don't like him in this game. Here's why. He does not do a good job of, getting all his receivers involved. I just don't like how he plays. He does okay getting James Conner some carries, but not enough. Their defense is struggling, and their whole team's struggling, Chris. The Steelers are just struggling. On the Bengals side, Andy Dalton will bounce back after a loss last week and look for John Ross and Tyler Boyd. I love that combo. I do. Joe Mixon pounds that Steelers defensive front, I think. I think the Bengals win on Monday night.
And I had the Steelers winning 24-14.
Oh, okay.
But then I just changed my score right now.
Right now.
To Steelers still winning.
Oh, okay.
But 17-14, I'm counting the leg in the game. I'm going for
The leg.
I'm going for the leg. I'm going for the field goal. That Steelers offense is going to get started late with Juju. Juju's going to come out. He's going to have a decent game. It's not going to be like a Juju-esque type game. It's going to be a
I
decent
don't
game
think so.
for
I
Juju.
think it'll be a messy game, Chris.
It's going to be a bad game. It's going to be a bad game.
Bad game.
But James Conner needs to get going to win. And if the Bengals want to win on offense, they got to get the ball to John Ross and Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon is the game changer for this week. If Joe Mixon can get going, open up the passing game, like I always say, but it's very important. That's what running backs do. People think they just run and run and run. But if you have a good running back who can do it effectively, you open up the passing game. You can do RPO. You can do read option. You can do play action.
100% agree.
You open up the passing game so much more. So if Joe Mixon or James Conner, one of them both get going, that team is going to win. Forget about the defense. If one of them can run the ball effectively, just like what the Steelers used to do with Lev Bell way back in the day, D'Angelo, way back in the day, they played good defense and they would run the ball. And they do that, they will beat the Bengals.
We'll see what happens. Bunch of interesting games this week. That's going to do it for our Week 4 picks. We're going to see what happens. Next week, we will bring you how we did on our picks. And so now let's dive in to our injuries, Chris. We have a lot of injuries this week, a lot of key players that are out this week and that might miss out on a chance to help their team win a football game.
Yeah, so on the first game, we got Carolina versus Houston and Panthers. We're going to start with the Panthers. Panthers out. Cam Newton has a foot injury, like we all know. That's why Kyle Allen's fouling.
Right.
And we have Trey Turner, one of the big guards. He has an ankle injury.
And that's huge for the Panthers. Questionable is linebacker Bruce Irvin with a hamstring. We'll see if he plays. Cornerback Dante Jackson with a groin injury, and defensive end Kejuan Short with a shoulder injury. So Panthers can't afford to have all those guys out. We know 2 are automatically ruled out, 2 big factors. So we'll see how that plays out. Hopefully those guys can get in that game, but we'll have to see what happens tomorrow.
And with the Texans, they have no listed injuries at this time right now,
which is good for them.
Yes.
Next, we have the Cleveland Browns at the Baltimore Ravens. Out for the Browns is tackle Kendall Lamb, knee injury.
And the Browns are a little bit of a banged-up team right now. They have questionable right now. We have safety Morgan Burnett, quad. We have Rashad Higgins, wide receiver, knee. You have Denzel Ward and Greedy Williams, both with hamstring injuries.
That is not good.
So again, you have 3 of your starting secondary players, and Randall, who had a concussion last week. It was a free safety.
Yeah, who was that?
DeMarcus Randall.
DeMarcus Randall, yes.
Who is coming back this week. So he's finally
good.
Off his concussion.
That's good.
He's back. But then you go from one safety and then you got the other. You got Morgan Burnett out.
Right. And
you still don't know if Greedy Williams and Denzel Ward's going to be out. So there's a lot of I don't even know what to say with that secondary. It's going to be really bad. It's going to be another bad secondary game.
Yeah, they're going to need their offense.
And for the Ravens, we have, one player ruled out right now, and that is Jimmy Smith, again with a knee injury, the nickel cornerback who is very good. So you got, him out.
Yeah, he's out. And, questionable tight end Mark Andrews with a foot injury, and Marlon Humphrey, cornerback, with a hamstring.
So
those can be huge too.
So you have your two.
The Ravens need those guys to play, Chris.
And so you have one of your starting cornerback, Jimmy Smith, out, and then you have Marlon Humphrey, who's questionable. All you have is Tony Jefferson and Earl Thomas back there.
Earl Thomas.
So it's gonna be hard.
It's gonna be interesting, and these injuries are just killing some of these teams. Next, we got the Dallas Cowboys at the New Orleans Saints. Out for the Cowboys is defensive end Tyrone Crawford, hip injury. Wide receiver Michael Gallup with a knee injury, and defensive back Antoine Woods with a knee injury. So that's that, and Antoine Woods. That's a big loss for that Cowboys
Yeah, and
defense.
and then we're gonna go back. So we have questionable for the Cowboys linebacker Luke Gifford. So he actually comes in when Van Der Esch needs a break, or if Jalen Smith needs a break.
Right.
He comes in and he does really well.
Mm-hmm.
He can start on most other teams.
He can. He's a good player. I like him.
So Van Der Esch and Jalen Smith are going to have to play a majority of the snaps, which could be a big problem for them. And the Saints can capitalize on that.
Yes, a tired Van Der Esch. The Saints could.
So on the Saints side of the ball, we all know Drew Brees out. But with his hand injury. We have wide receiver Traquan Smith with an ankle injury. Who is their third receiver with Michael Thomas, Ted Ginn, and Traquan Smith. So it could open more targets to Ted Ginn and Michael Thomas, of course.
Right, and questionable for the Saints is Sheldon Rankins with an Achilles injury.
Oh, that sucks.
So Achilles that's never good. That's really bad, your Achilles. Hopefully he'll be able to play, but it's a close one. We're going to have to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, so in the next game we have the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Denver Broncos. And they only have one player ruled out right now, and that is tight end Josh Oliver, who comes in once in a while. He's not really a full-time starter, but he goes in during the double tight end sets. So it's kind of bad having him out, but hopefully he gets better and can come back next week.
Right. Questionable for the Jags, Jalen Ramsey. He needs to play in this game for the Jags. Best cornerback in the league. You can argue that. By the way, he did just have a kid. He has a daughter now, and that congratulations to
congrats to you, Jalen.
Jalen Ramsey and his family, and that's just a great thing to hear. Jalen Ramsey, hopefully he can get back for this game and play for his daughter.
And a little news update for that. He is playing. He will.
Is that right? Did you just get that right now?
No, I found out a little bit this morning.
Okay.
But he's traveling with the team.
Great.
So it's great news for Jacksonville.
Great news.
But he still counts as questionable because he didn't practice all week.
He didn't. So we got to see. It'll be interesting. We'll find out probably within the 90 minutes before game time tomorrow.
Yes, we will. And so when the Broncos are banged up, man.
They are. The Broncos are really banged up, Chris.
They have two of their big top dollar free agents out right now. We have Bryce Calhoun with a foot injury and Jawan James with a knee injury. So they have their two moneymakers who are ruled out, who they got in free agency this year. So
right,
it kind of sucks to see them out right now.
So we have two moneymakers ruled out, but questionable. We do have cornerback Kareem Jackson with a hamstring injury, fullback Andy Janovich pectoral. So that's gonna be a loss for the Broncos if they can't play either.
And if Andy can't play, the run game with Royce Freeman and Phillip Lindsay,
right,
it's gonna decrease. So
and linebacker Joseph Jones has had problems with his triceps, and defensive end Derek Wolfe with an ankle injury. So those guys are all questionable. And Broncos are beat up.
Bro, and if Derek Wolfe doesn't play, they won't get a sack.
They won't. Derek Wolfe is their best pass rusher.
I wouldn't say best pass rusher.
One of their best.
Because you have Von Miller and Bradley Chubb.
But the way the Broncos defense have been playing, the way Von Miller has been playing, you can make an argument now that Darren Wolfe, he's stepping up for them.
And they throw him at D tackle once in a while, so it's interesting how they're going to use Derek Wolfe. But if he's out, I will probably say that they won't get a sack.
Right, understandable.
So we have the next game we have is the Chiefs at Lions, and the Chiefs offense is banged up, but they're still playing at a very high level.
But they are. I don't think these losses will affect the Chiefs, but I think the Chiefs can still win.
So you have tackle Eric Fisher with a groin injury, and we all know that Tyreek Hill still has a shoulder injury.
That's
and
bad.
Damian Williams, 2 weeks in a row, has the knee injury.
I'm concerned for Damian Williams.
And, LaShawn McCoy is older, so we don't know how often he can go in there and play at the high level. So it's going to be very interesting how that works.
Yeah, we'll see how that works. The Lions ruled out is defensive tackle Mike Daniels with a foot injury.
Yeah, I think I heard he may be out for the rest of the season, which sucks for the Lions.
That's not good. Mike Daniels for the Lions. Good on the defensive side of the football. Tough loss.
And they have a few players questionable. Danny Amendola with that chest injury that happened last week. Deshaun Hand with the elbow injury. And their two biggest names on that team. Darius Slay with a hamstring. And Matthew Stafford with a hip injury. So
Matthew Stafford does not play, Chris. That's going to be an absolute nightmare for the Detroit Lions.
Because you got to score some points, and he's the quarterback that can score some points. So I think it's going to be very interesting how he works out. I heard it's going to be a game-time decision for Matthew Stafford.
Wow.
So we got to see 90 minutes before that game if he's going to play.
We're going to have to see that. And that's going to be a bad loss for the Lions.
So next game, we're going to just try to keep rolling through this. We got Chargers at Dolphins, and we have kicker Michael Bradley out with a groin injury. You have tight end Virgil Green with a groin. You have Hunter Henry, who you know with a knee injury. Justin Jackson just got put on the out list with a calf injury. You got Mike Williams with a back injury. Then you also have Travis Benjamin, who is doubtful with a hip injury.
And you got Casey Hayward, back injury, cornerback, and he's questionable. So
you got a lot of players in that Chargers team who's banged up.
They do. But the good news is they're playing the Dolphins.
It's very true.
Yep.
And then on the Dolphins side of the ball, out Allen Hurns with that concussion, who got rocked last week.
He got absolutely pounded.
Bro, he got lit up last week.
He did. Questionable, you got Jesse Davis, tackle, elbow injury, linebacker, Trent Harris, foot injury, Rashad Jones, huge loss, ankle injury, Bobby McCain, hamstring.
Another big player on that defense.
Huge player on that defense, a wide receiver, Albert Wilson with a hip injury.
Yeah, so that defense again, with Trent Harris, Rashad Jones, and Bobby McCain, all three questionable. That defense is looking worse and worse every week.
It is. Now let's move to the Minnesota Vikings at the Chicago Bears. Questionable for the Vikings is Mackenzie Alexander, cornerback, elbow injury.
Again, he's the third cornerback in that team who comes that comes in and out for Xavier Woods and Treyway. So let's just see how that works.
We got to see. On the Bears, Taylor Gabriel is a wide receiver. He's out with a concussion. Defensive tackle, Bilal Nichols, he's out with a hand injury. And that's not good for the Bears.
And so for questionable, we have Trey Burton with a groin, who was out week 1, so already out, could be questionable for week 4. So we don't know how his health is going. Akeem Hicks, he's questionable almost every other week, so I had a feeling that he's probably going to play anyways.
Right.
Kyle Long with the hip injury, he did go out last week, and I hopefully he plays. And the rookie star kicker, Eddie Pinheiro, has a right knee injury. So if this Vikings and Bears game is going to be close, they're going to need Mr. Eddie to come out and play.
It is. That's a good point, Chris. They're really going to need him to come out and play. He's got to come up with some big kicks if the Bears are going to have a chance.
And I believe in the leg in that game. So,
I do too. I do too. Like we said in the picks.
Yes. So in this and then this game, probably my favorite game of the week is the Patriots.
Good game.
Going
to be a good game.
But the Patriots are a little banged up.
They are.
They have no one's ruled out this week, which is really good. But they got a bunch of players on the questionable side of the ball. So we have defensive end Michael Bennett, shoulder. Running back Rex Burkhead, foot. Julian Edelman, chest. Donta Hightower, shoulder. And Marshall Newhouse has an illness.
So, big for the Patriots. I don't think It'll affect the Patriots. Too bad. It's going to affect the Patriots, don't get me wrong, but not on a terrible note. The Bills on the other side. Tight end Taylor Croft has an ankle injury. Linebacker Corey Thompson has an ankle injury, Chris.
And then, questionable again. There's a few players on here that's questionable. You have Robert Foster with a groin. You got Spencer Long with an ankle. You got wide receiver Isaiah McKenzie with an ankle. And you have backup running back Devin Singletary with a hamstring. So, again, I think Devin Singletary not playing could be a big loss. So is Isaiah McKenzie.
I do too.
Those
100% agree.
Those two players could be big losses if they don't play. Devin Singletary was out last week with the same hamstring injury. Big old man Frank Gore can't be on the field all the time, and TJ Yeldon has not shown anything since he's became a Bill. So with Devin Singletary could be ruled out twice in a week, it could really affect the way that they play their offensive scheme.
Right. Next game, we do have the Oakland Raiders at the Colts. Just flying through these injuries for you guys. Wide receiver Dwayne Harris with the ankle. Gabe Jackson's out with the knee.
And it's really good because they have no one questionable. They only have 2 rolled out, so at least
that's good.
Most of the players on their team are healthy.
Yeah.
But on the Colts side of the ball, they are looking beat up, man.
They are.
They have their star safety Malik Hooker out with a knee injury. Star linebacker Darius Leonard, concussion. And then they have their star wide receiver is doubtful with a quad.
Yeah.
So they're looking kind of beat up on, a lot of the star players are either out or questionable.
Yeah. So next we have the Seahawks versus the Cardinals. Chris, what do you have on the Seahawks?
So we have 2 big players who are questionable. No one's out, which is good. Again,
good. That's good for the Seahawks.
We have Ezekiel Ansah with a back injury, and he just got back into the lineup, and now he is already out again.
Big loss for Seattle.
And their backup running back, Rashad Penny, with a hamstring injury, with Chris Carson fumbling a bunch.
Yeah.
If he's ruled out, it could be a big loss for that team.
Yep. We'll see. Cardinals, wide receiver Damari Bird, he's out with a hamstring injury, and safety Charles Washington is out with a shoulder injury. So that's pretty big for the Cardinals.
On the defensive side of the ball, they have a Miles Brown shoulder defensive tackle who is questionable. That Cardinals team needs every person on that team to play well, and
they really do. That's a great point.
And on defense, especially, their defense is not looking good. So if you can have Charles Washington come back in the next week or 2, he'll be fine. But then hopefully Miles Brown can play, and that would be another big addition to that team.
Hopefully.
So then we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Los Angeles Rams.
And for the Buccaneers, cornerback Jamel Dean, he's out with an ankle. Linebacker Devin White, the rookie, great player, huge loss. He's out with a knee injury.
And we have a couple players who is questionable, a couple people on the offense. We have tackle DeMar Dotson. The old man got a big old calf injury.
Man.
So let's see if he can come back, and hopefully I know all 3 of these guys are a game-time decision. Wide receiver Chris Godwin with a hitch. If he doesn't play, I'm sorry, but the Bucs will not have a very good chance to win. And then starting center Ryan Jensen with a back injury. Yep. So it could not be looking too good for the Bucs if some of those players do not play. But on the Rams side of the ball, there's no players listed out, questionable, or doubtful. Everyone's playing.
Good.
So then we have the Tennessee Titans at Atlanta Falcons, and same thing from the Rams to the Titans. There's no players listed injured, which is really good.
Good for both teams. And then we got the Washington Redskins at the New York Giants. Chris, what do you got on the Redskins?
This team's killing me.
They are. They're
Jordan Reed is out again with a concussion.
Again. That's a key word. Again.
That's 4 weeks in a row.
Wow. Questionable is wide receiver Terry McLaurin, hamstring, and guard Brandon Sheriff with an ankle injury.
And Terry McLaurin has been balling out. Rookie who came in to just do some special teams work and came into the offense, and Case Keenum loves him. So it really sucks if he doesn't play. And the Giants, Saquon Barkley ruled out, ankle injury. Tay Davis concussion ruled out, and Alec Ogletree hamstring ruled out. So the Giants' 2 starting linebackers are ruled out. So
that's huge for New York.
Yeah, and you're going to need some production out of Wayne Goldman in the running back position and Ryan Conley in the linebacker position.
Yes, that's huge. So that caps off all our injuries for this week. A lot of injuries. Had to run those over to you guys so you know what's going on. You know who's in, who's out, who's questionable. Now, I got a little bit of news just going around the league to wrap up our podcast here. So let's start with the Pittsburgh Steelers. If Mason Rudolph goes big, Chris, Pittsburgh Steelers have a chance of going home victorious. Of the 14 completions Rudolph had in the eventful loss last week, only his 2 touchdown passes. One was a 76-yard catch and run scored by receiver Juju Smith-Schuster. He's got to throw the ball downfield. I think he's got to take chances.
100% agree with you on that.
Next, we got the Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles are re-signing veteran cornerback Orlando Scandrick. I think that's a good pickup.
You know, that Orlando Scandrick came in this offseason, did a lot of work with them, and then got cut. Was very confused why. A lot of injuries on that secondary,
Yes.
so bringing back the veteran could really help out for a few weeks while, with Ronald Darby getting back and healthy in the next few weeks.
It could. He did spend a summer with the organization, signing a 1-year deal in late July before his preseason release in late August. 32-year-old played 7 games with the Chiefs in 2018 after spending 10 seasons with the Cowboys. So that veteran presence in the locker room is going to be good for the Eagles.
Yes, it will.
The Eagles' defensive end Derek Barnett will not be suspended for a hit that injured Green Bay Packers running back Jamal Williams Thursday night.
I can't believe
He will not be suspended. When I saw that, I can't believe that.
The whistle already blew. He was wrapped up by 2 players. Like, if you follow my Twitter, I was going off that night.
Yeah, I saw you were going off on that.
I was not happy because, again, players are supposed to be protected, and while this guy's wrapped up twice, getting pushed back for negative yards, and people were yelling at me like, oh, he was still pushing, still driving for more yards.
No.
He was 3 yards back from the line of scrimmage, getting pushed back, and then Derek Barnett comes in with this late hit with the whistle already went off. Like, I can't believe that guy gets suspended. I hope he at least gets a big old fine for that because that is ridiculous.
I hope so, too. It's ridiculous. It's dirty. It
was a dirty hit.
We don't wish that on anybody, and that's just a dirty hit. Next is here, our last topic of the day, Chris, is the Washington Redskins. Redskins coach Jay Gruden will stick with Case Keenum, Chris, instead of Dwayne Haskins with an 0-3 record. What is that about?
I think it's getting the rookie a lot of time behind a veteran presence, but then when your team is 0-3, about to be 0-4 after this week, you got to have the rookie to try out and come out in there. He knows the rookies and some of the practice squad players better than anyone. Like, I think of Daniel Jones come out last week.
Very good example.
Darius Slayton came out. T.J. Jones came out. Some of his players that he practiced with in preseason and practice squad and backups, the players that he practiced with, they knew how he threw. He knew the speed of the receivers. Like, you need Dwayne Haskins to find his people to go out there and play with. And so when we see the Redskins start signing players from the practice squad to the active roster, I feel like then his Dwayne Haskins' time is coming up.
Right, and I did see this morning that Dwayne Haskins, they interviewed him this week and said, hey, I mean, what's going through your mind? You're not starting. And he says he wants to be like a Drew Brees, like an Aaron Rodgers. He said it's going to take time. He's very humble. He practices hard, and he says it's going to take time. And if Jay Gruden loses this game against the Giants, Chris, he'll most likely be fired. And he'll lose the job.
You know what? I 100% agree with the Redskins front office with this.
I do too. It's a good decision. He's got to go if the Redskins have another loss.
He has not been performing at all the last few seasons. Like, he's less than 500 on the last few seasons, and he just has not been. He was in there to produce and be the offensive coordinator that they needed, and his offense is not looking too good right now. A player like Adrian Peterson, who had 1,000 yards rushing the ball last
1,000,
and saying that, you know what, we don't want you anymore. Like, why don't you want Adrian Peterson? Like, it's just things like that teams and the front office are like looking at you, like saying, like, what are you doing?
Right. It is gonna be a big week 4. A lot of teams need key wins this week. We're going to see what happens. Hopefully today that we brought you all the news you needed. That's going to do it for today's podcast. Me and Chris, we thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We thank you for your support. Go give us a follow on Instagram and Spotify. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll see you next Saturday for more action around the NFL. We wanted to thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate you guys tuning in, clicking on our podcast, if that was on YouTube or Spotify, and follow us on Twitter. And we just appreciate you guys listening.
Thanks, guys.
Peace.